Are you legitimately obligated to have a license, registration, and insurance on a vehicle that you personally own if you're going to take that vehicle on the public roadways? The key terms here are legitimately obligated. Are you required as a free individual in America to have a license? Guys, I'm so freaking pumped to give you this video right here. I want to show you what this guy says right here. Can the state really require me to have a license to drive? Well, they can require anything they want to. It doesn't make it legitimate. The question is it legitimate? That's the question. This right here, question, federal law is the highest law. Am I correct? The federal law states that it's my God-given right as a man to have the freedom of travel in pursuit of happiness without being governed, harassed, taxed, or held from freedom of movement. It also states that as long as I'm traveling in my own vehicle that I own and I'm not making cash profit from it, then a state-issued license is just a requirement made by the state police. It's not required as long as I'm not harming anyone or committing a crime. This guy says, here's his answer. Okay, where do I start? I'll begin by saying that I sympathize for an officer that stops this driver and has to endure the ensuing encounter, i.e. somebody who's actually going to fight for their right to just be a free man or a free woman. Admittedly, this question is an outlier, but over the last years of writing this column, I've received enough of these kinds of questions to realize that there is a much larger issue here. Yeah, it's the issue of freedom over tyranny. And anybody who stands for freedom is standing against tyranny, and not just for themselves, but everybody else who's not right there with them. An injustice done to one man anywhere is injustice done to all men everywhere. So if you stand up for freedom, you're standing against tyranny for yourself and everybody else, not just in America, but in the entire world. And if we can set brush fires of freedom in the minds of men and have that encounter where you're standing against tyranny, I mean, taking a hard stand against it, you can literally produce a lot of freedom and a lot of prosperity, because where you have freedom, you have prosperity. So he says, admittedly, this question is an outlier. So for 3 years, he's been talking about this kind of stuff. When someone misunderstands the law, it can have real life consequences. Words have meaning. This isn't about misunderstanding or misrepresenting. This is about saying what the laws of the land, in this case, the Constitution and the Supreme Court, which is what all judges say the supreme law of the land is. So we're just going to hold it to it, right? You're going to see, stay tuned, guys. You're going to see a real demonstration of this right here in action. And I'm talking about, to me, this is one of the top videos, not just on YouTube, but on the entire internet, because it can change the world, not just America. The stand against tyranny is a noble and right thing to do. When you're standing against tyranny, you're standing for right. When you're standing for right, you're standing against all wrongs. The opposite of right is wrong. The opposite of tyranny is freedom. That's why this is so freaking important. And I'm going to talk about real quick how misguided and uneducated this individual is. And everybody will be able to see it. You don't need a college degree. Sometimes a misunderstanding of the law is harmless. For example, many people think it's illegal to drive barefoot. It's not. You may have heard it from your driver's ed teacher who told you that driving barefoot gives you less control, which is usually true unless you're wearing flip-flops or high heels. Believing that a driver's license is a fake requirement can result in some real problems. We're going to see the opposite of that in a second. We live in a time where you can find the answer to any possible question in seconds. You can find the wrong answer even faster. If you're convinced that you don't need a driver's license to legally drive on public roads, I can assure you that your next traffic stop will not go smoothly for you. And so this is basically a scare tactic. This is basically telling the sheep, you need to stay in your sheep pen, you need to stay in your lane, you need to stay connected to your shackles, you don't need to ask questions, you don't need to venture out, you don't need to fight for your freedoms, you don't need to stand against tyranny. I'm no constitutional law expert, but I think I can explain why some people think they don't need a driver's license and why they're wrong. At risk of oversimplifying things, the U.S. Supreme Court has stated that it is, quote, the right of a citizen, that's a misnomer right here. You're not a citizen. You're not a person. You're an individual. You are a human being. You're a man or a woman of the earth, of nature. And no other man or woman of earth, of nature, has a right to tell you that you need to ask them for permission to do something you have a perfect right as a human being to do in the first place. That's where he goes wrong, number one. To travel upon the public highway. And there's more, guys. He leaves so much out. The thinking goes, if the Supreme Court says it's a right to use the highway, the state can't require me to get a license and then grant me permission to drive because it's already my right. This argument relies mostly on court decisions taken out of context, keep that in mind, and obsolete legal definitions. Guess what? This guy completely misinterprets and confuses the entire issue here. But there are people who believe it. This isn't about belief, guys. This is about having a knowing and walking in that knowledge and not trying to convince somebody of something that doesn't exist. Here, just believe me, take my word for it. No, you can actually produce evidence. Evidence that even the Supreme Court, trust them as far as you can throw them, and the Constitution both testify to, as well as the Declaration of Independence and the words of our founding fathers. Just for fun, let's take no license requirement argument to a logical extreme. This is not logical. If we start with the assumption that any person has the right to travel on any public highway as long as they're not making a profit, an important part of the argument, although ungrounded, that's BS, they can use any kind of vehicle they want, and they're not harming anyone else. What's to stop John Travolta from landing his 747 on I-90, assuming that he can find a big enough gap and land it? This is total apples and oranges and a total sidestep of the actual truth of what we're talking about here. So I'm just gonna brush that aside because it deserves to be brushed aside. What the believers of the no license requirement viewpoint overlook is the fact that even though the federal government doesn't mandate a national driver's license, and they don't, the U.S. Supreme Court on multiple occasions has confirmed a state's authority to establish licensing requirement for drivers, and yet he doesn't give one statute, he doesn't give one Supreme Court decision. Our Constitution grants us the right to travel freely. Yes, it does. Actually, I made a huge mistake when I did this live stream when I said that. The Constitution doesn't grant anybody any rights. It only recognizes and codifies the rights that we already have because we're human beings. You have the right to freedom of speech. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects. You have the right to be silent and not incriminate yourself. These are all rights that you have because you have a heartbeat in your chest, because you're a man or woman of the earth. The Constitution does not grant rights. It merely recognizes rights you already have. And that's very, very important, because that means these rights are unalienable. They can't be given to you and they can't be taken from you by any other human being. But recognizes that for the well-being of the people, we need systems in place that regulate transportation. Really? Does it really? You want to rethink that? Because we're going to completely blow that apart. A driver's license isn't about taxation and limited travel. It is absolutely about taxation because they charge you for it, and it is about limited travel because if you don't have the permission slip, you don't get the travel. It's just a lie. It's just a complete fabrication and a lie. It's a verification that the holder has at least a minimal understanding of the shared rules that keep us safe on the roads. Freedom to travel and driver's license requirements are really two distinct concepts that the anti-license folks have conflated. Actually, no, it's not. It really isn't. Freedom to travel and a driver's license requirements are two distinct concepts, only in the sense that one is freedom and one is tyranny. One is, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want to as a human being, as long as I'm not harming, threatening to harm, or steal somebody else's property. And the other one is tyranny. So in that sense, they are distinct. The no license needed crowd will try to convince you that all you need during a traffic stop is a clearly articulated explanation to convince the police officer that all his legal training was wrong, that he's really just a pawn of a corrupt taxation scheme. It's true. He is. And all of his training is wrong. It's all founded on nonsense, complete fabrication and fairy tale. And that it's in his best interest just to let you go. It absolutely is. Because when you're talking to that police officer about what is right and what is wrong, and you're going to champion the cause of right, no matter what he does and the wrong, you are actually in that police officer's corner. You want that police officer to be just as free as you are in your mind. And if he gets free, a lot of people get free. If you try that approach, good luck with that. We're going to watch the approach I mean, recorded approach, but it is the approach nonetheless, and it was 100% successful. And I'm going to try not to give a spoiler alert, which I kind of just did. A strong belief in an incorrect understanding of the law won't help in court if the entire judicial system disagrees with you. And in a sense, he's kind of right about that. It's dangerous to be right when the government is so horribly tyrannically wrong. Let me just show you one more example before I give you a demonstration of this. There's a difference in Black's Law Dictionary. There's a difference as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, and there's a difference in the supreme law of the land called the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence, which shows that it's self-evident that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. One of those pursuits of happiness is travel, and that's testified by the Supreme Court. And let me just read you one ruling right here. This is from Chicago Coach Company versus the City of Chicago. This was in 1929, so we already had automobiles for quite a few years in 1929. Listen to what it says. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on highways, byways, nor waterways transporting his vehicles and personal property for either recreation or business, but by being subject only to local regulation, i.e. safety, caution, traffic lights, speed limits, etc. Travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, vehicle registration, or forced insurances. Let me say that again. Travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, vehicle registration, or forced insurance. And this is in the context, this ruling is in the context of no state government entity has the power, ... That's Chicago Coach versus City of Chicago. And there's tons, guys. We'll pull out more of this, but I want to show you the practical application of a man who has knowledge of this and walks in this knowledge and walks in his rights as a free man on this natural earth. Watch this, guys. This is from It's Paul Unslaved. I'm going to try to play this thing all the way through. Guys, I know it's 32 minutes. Stay with me. If you've never seen this, even if you have seen this, watch it again. Listen to the words. I plan on watching. I'm going to watch this again with you. I watched this. Me and Trish watched this today, and this got me so freaking fired up. Listen to this guy. I'm going to go ahead and play it right there.
Video, please.
What's that?
Let me just start my video, please.
Your video?
Yeah, I'm just going to record this interaction.
Okay. I need your license and registration.
What makes you believe that I need that to travel from point A to point B?
Because you have no license plates on your vehicle, sir.
Would you like to see my paperwork?
Yes, I would. I asked for it 2 seconds ago.
That's not what I have for you, sir.
Okay.
I have here the definitions from the Motor Vehicle Code. I have the Supreme Court decisions and everything you need here to understand that I don't need a license, registration, or any documentation to travel from point A to point B. It is a right that has been preserved by the Supreme Court and the law of the land.
It's been amened by the Supreme Court, which even law enforcement officers call the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. It's amened by Black's Law Dictionary, all the revisions. We'll go over that, hopefully, if we have some time at the end here.
Okay. Sir, in order to drive in Colorado, you need to have license.
It's not driving. The definition says right there, sir, driving is doing commerce where you're employed on the road.
ID?
I don't need to present ID unless I'm in the commission of a crime, sir. I have not committed any crime.
You violated traffic law in the state of Colorado.
The definitions are right there, sir. If you'd like to go to court, we can handle it.
I need your ID, okay? I need your license, insurance, registration. You're operating a motor vehicle.
Did you even look at my paperwork at all?
So take note, the cop is taking a hard stand. Hey, I need your driver's license, proof of insurance, and you need to give me what I'm asking for. This is a minute 3 seconds in this conversation. The cop is not giving him any wiggle room. He is demanding that driver's license.
Sir, I'm looking at your paperwork.
Did you read the definitions? The Motor Vehicle Code definition is in there. It says driving is doing commerce on the roadway. I am not doing commerce. I am not employed. If you could please get a supervisor out here, I'd appreciate it.
Now he's calling for backup.
Okay, do me a favor and then turn the car off then. I'll get a supervisor out here for you. Okay.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere, sir.
Okay, can you just turn the car off for me then?
Guys, stay tuned. This escalates and escalates, and there is a big time surprise at the end.
Am I obligated to turn my car off? I'm not intending to go anywhere. I'd like to handle this matter and settle it right now. I have no reason to leave. Why would I do that?
Okay. I'm getting another unit out here for your request.
Sure.
Okay. All I asked is to see your license, insurance, registration.
I'm telling you that I don't have such because I'm not required to by law. It's been upheld. It's been upheld by the
state of Colorado. You are required to have a license, insurance, registration.
It's federally been upheld.
on state roads.
The definition is right there from the motor vehicle code. Driving is defined as doing commerce on the roadway employed by somebody. I am not employed to do commerce on the roadway. I am traveling in my private property from point A to point B, which, as it says in there, is my right to do so, upheld many times in the Supreme Court.
Just hang out for a second.
Sure, no problem, bud.
Guys, not backing down. Not backing down. I love it. This is what we need. This is why I believe this is one of the most important videos on the internet, man. And remember, at first, the cops do not give this guy an inch.
Officers here, so I am recording. Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. Gave him my paperwork, and yeah.
I'm gonna ask you one more time for your license, search, registration. Okay.
Sir, there's no circuitous route here. I'm telling you.
Can you at least tell me your first and last name and date of birth?
I don't believe that I'm obligated to give you any of that information unless I'm in the commission of a crime. If I'm wrong, please produce the law for me. I'm entitled to see the law if that's the law. This is nothing personal. I have no issue with you. I'm simply trying to abide by the law of the land and by the motor vehicle code and by all the rights given to me in this country.
I don't know what motor vehicle code you're following, but in the state of Colorado, you need to have a license, insurance, and registration to operate a motor vehicle on state roads.
Okay, can I give you the definitions of that by Black's Law's Dictionary? Operating a motor vehicle
Okay, so I just want to make note of this. The cop is not stopping. He's still requiring proof of insurance, an ID, and registration, proof of license and registration. He's still asking for that. 3 minutes and 37 seconds. This is super important, guys.
Defined.
That's not the dictionary I follow, man.
Then you have a conflict of interest with the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court, which is the highest law of this land, follows Black's Law's Dictionary. So I'm not interested in contracting with you or following anything that you follow. Like I said, even in the motor vehicle code, which you guys are following as a corporation, the Supreme Court is beyond that. But let's just take the motor vehicle code. The definition of my understanding of a motor vehicle is a vehicle that is doing commerce on the roadway. It even gives definitions in the code. It says tractor, trailer, bus, or a taxi, right? Taxi driver, bus driver, truck driver.
And limo.
I am not a driver because I'm not transporting or in the act of trafficking any goods or peoples.
Let me ask you a question. What were you doing right there on Colfax then? Operating the motor vehicle. Would you consider yourself a driver?
No,
of a motor vehicle?
Absolutely not. A driver by definition. I understand there's a colloquialism that we don't understand here, or maybe they haven't told us or we don't understand, but the word driving by definition means you must be employed by somebody. So I was not driving. I was traveling in my private property from point A to point B, which, like I said, the Supreme Court has upheld many times. I have the right to do so. If I was, let's say, doing Uber or some form of hauling goods or services on the roadways, then yes, the government has a right to know that I can operate the roadway to do that business and then tax me, of course. But I'm not doing such. I'm traveling from point A to point B in property that I purchased privately and legally and lawfully.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is your name, man? Why do you not want to identify yourself?
I just believe that nothing personal to you. I have had some incidents in the past where any information that I give, as you know, can and will be used against me in a court. And I don't believe that I have any necessity to give any information.
You see my name. Right?
But you're required to produce your name because you are a government employee. It actually says I can ask you for 3 forms of ID, which you have to produce. You cannot.
Let me just validate from Black's Law Dictionary exactly what this guy's saying here about driver, because words do matter and definitions do matter. If we don't have definitions to words, then we can't have communications and we can't have a society, a civilized society. This is Black's Law Dictionary. This is 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, and 4th edition revised from 1968. In every single case, driver is somebody who's employed in conducting in a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicle with horses, mules, or other animals. Down here, one employed in, this is just skipping over to 1968 right down here. One employed, a driver employed in conducting or operating a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicles with horses, mules, or other animals, or a bicycle, tricycle, or motor car, though not a street or a railroad car. A person actually doing driving, whether employed by owner to drive or a vehicle driving his own vehicle. That's in the vein of earning an income or profiting from or being employed so that you can drive. So that's what this guy's talking about. These are all the Black's Law dictionaries. When this dictionary definitions, so you have to, there's three key things you have to remember. What does employed mean? What does person mean? And what does operate mean? And we have to understand the definitions of every single one of those, because predicated on these definitions of these words, that's where the law springs from, the man's law. And you can use their law to show them that their own code says that a driver is somebody who is employed, not just a mere traveler who's moving his property from point A to point B. This is super important, guys, and this is what this guy is talking about.
Ask me for, this is by my understanding of you guys' contractual law to uphold the Constitution and even the codes, quote unquote, of the state and the city. My understanding of that is I am not required to provide any of that information unless I'm being charged or you know, some kind of crime is suspected, which I don't believe.
You're being charged for violating traffic code right now.
If you wanna bring those charges, that's fine. But when we go to court and they convict me in the local court, I will go to Supreme Court and you will be held accountable and liable for those charges, just like a credit card. You cannot bring charges and not be held liable for them because the responsibility and onus is on the person bringing them. So I would hope that you'll be able to prove in a court of law, based on case law and everything else, that I don't have a right to see, this is the game. I don't have a right to take my private property from point A to point B, which like I said, the Supreme Court ruling is in that documentation I gave you. All the definitions are there. So I'm not coming from my own manifestation. I'm not coming from something that I want to be true or made up.
I love that,
I've read
man.
the definitions. I've gone through the case law. I've looked at the Supreme Court decisions. It's expressly stated in there. The law is expressed, not implied. This is my understanding of it. You know, I'm a man who does no harm, and that's how I live my life. I live my life by truth and doing no harm. The law of love.
That's
you know,
awesome.
I have no issues with you or anybody else, and I'm not in the doing anything wrong at this time. I've caused no loss, injury, or harm to anybody. I'm taking my property from point A to point B.
Do you live in Lakewood, Denver? Where do you live, man?
I would rather not answer any questions, sir.
Okay. Do you live in the state of Colorado?
I'd rather not answer any questions.
Okay. Well, you're operating a motor vehicle in the state
I'm
of
not
Colorado.
operating a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle is defined in the paperwork as a vehicle on the roadways doing commerce. This is not a commercial vehicle.
You're operating a light blue Nissan Maxima with no license plates. And
I'm
you're
not
taking
operating it. I'm
driver's
traveling
license
from
and
point A to
proof of
point B.
insurance at this time.
Then I guess we have a disagreement in the understanding. I presented you paperwork. You've presented me nothing other than your understanding. So my understanding is backed by definition, Supreme Court rulings, and the Motor Vehicle Code. You've given me nothing except what you believe to be true. So where can we go with this?
Awesome. He's firm.
The that I've made to you are ones that are produced in the Colorado Revised Statutes
Can you show them to me?
on traffic law.
Can you show them to me?
I can. I'm not gonna go grab the book right now and just open it up and scroll through the pages for you.
Well, I was kind enough to have all my paperwork and things in order and my understanding here to present to you.
You have not provided me with any proof of insurance, any driver's license, or any proof
Sir,
of registration.
The paperwork that I provided to you makes those things not applicable to me because I am not doing commerce on the roadway. This is
Provided me 3 printouts
of the definitions of the words in the Motor Vehicle Code and the Supreme Court
from the
ruling.
school website.
Didn't you swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and the law of the land? The Supreme Court is the
Guys, I got to tell you, I am so freaking pumped about the existence of this guy and others like him who are out there upholding his freedom, his liberties, and ours. And the fact that he's so knowledgeable and he's not being a jerk about it, he is being firm. He's not backing off 1 inch. As a matter of fact, he's advancing toward the cop, mentally toward the cop, trying to get the cop's mind out of his badge, out of his uniform, out of the authority of the state, out of his understanding, into a whole new paradigm. This is why this is so freaking important, man. So important.
highest law in the land. So that one decision that I showed you should be enough for you to either go and look at what I'm presenting again and give a deeper, more detailed look at it, or to understand that we have no interaction right now. Because like I said, there's many Supreme Court cases on file. That is the law we're supposed to follow in this country. We can have disagreements in local court, but these have already been decided upon. The Supreme Court will hear my case as well if you guys bring charges, because I will take it there.
We will be bringing charges.
Sir, again.
There you go. There's the threat. First, You got to have your license. You got to have your registration. You got to have your insurance. And we will be bringing charges. We're 9 minutes into this video. Wait till you see what happens at the end. All right, Brian, stop talking. Gotcha.
For violating traffic law in the state of Colorado.
The word violation in law means to cause loss, injury, or harm. It also means to sexually advance on someone when it's unwanted. I did not do any of those things. So, you know, again, we have to get our words and terms in line with the definitions of what we all are agreeing on here is the English language. We cannot use words and not agree on the definitions. I'm not making up my own definitions. The state of Colorado is a whole other discussion. And furthermore, it doesn't even come into this because, like I said, any roadways federally, the people, a man, a woman has a right to use the public roadways to travel from point A to point B. It's been ruled on. You cannot have a government organization who's supposed to work for the people come in to tax the people to use what is the people's. That is fraud. You may disagree with me. I, however, have the truth, the definitions, the facts, and the case rulings on my side. So like I said, if you bring charges forth, I expect you to show up on the day of whatever the proceeding will be. And then I expect you to show up at the Supreme Court proceeding. And we will have a discussion in front of whoever needs to be there about what I have the right to do and not do, since you seem to believe you have a right to stop me and take up my time and take a right off me. We'll have that discussion if that's what you choose to do. I don't believe you should, because I think by conversing with me, you can ascertain that I am an upstanding, intelligent individual who's out here doing no harm, and I have no, you know, there's really no reason to have any issues with me.
Hell yeah.
Why is that?
Because like I said,
because he's doing what's right.
Get into all other thing. I don't know if you're interested in all that, but you see where our country's going, and what we're doing right here is part of the reason why. But I'm glad we're doing this, and I expected this, you know. So it's not really an issue for me. You know, I have to stand on what's true and what's right. I have to stand on my conviction, you know, in my heart, and what the definitions and the understanding tells me. So that's all I'm attempting to do.
Well, I think we might have a misunderstanding upon definitions here.
Again, the Supreme Court, it's been the Supreme Court, so let's say we both didn't understand definitions. Supreme Court has heard all these cases, and the judges have ruled over and over again that the right of the, if you want, I can search them for you right now, the quotes, the right of the people to use the public roadways is an untaxable, uninfringible right. You cannot tax somebody, force them to get registration, force them to get insurance. You cannot force any of that. All interactions are in this country are supposed to be voluntary. They're not supposed to be under coercion and duress.
Yep.
Do this or else, you know. And you can't use fear and safety as a reason to take people's rights.
Okay.
You know.
Well, my supervisor's here. If you said you wanted to talk to him.
I mean, again, it's more about what you plan on doing, because if you plan on moving forward contractually, then obviously he's going to be the one here to supervise that whole situation, and then he will be on record to go to court as well, being okay with the fact that he supervised you, stopping me, taking my time and my rights, and then telling me that I don't have a right to do what's already been ruled on I have a right to do. Okay. That's the only reason I want him here, so that we're all under the same understanding.
Sure.
This is epic, guys.
How you doing,
Epic.
sir?
Good. Hey, I'm Sergeant Valdez. I understand your sovereign stuff and everything and all that. Are you? What do you prefer to be?
Yeah, I don't even. I don't.
Living man, or how do you?
I don't
you
even
The living
like
man.
to get into the terms and
Sure,
labels.
no,
I'm just a man.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, just
The
like
living
you
man,
are.
or just the man. Or
Just a
however
man.
You want it.
Just
I
like
got
you
it.
are a man. You know,
Understood.
you're a man. I'm a man.
Understood.
And from my understanding, again, like I told this man, was that
Sure.
I've done my research. I have a conviction in my heart.
Okay.
My mind and my logic aligns with that. Logic, morals, and ethics. This is private property. I purchased it legally and lawfully.
Understood.
And I'm taking it from point A to point B. And the Supreme Court has ruled that I do not need to register, license, or any of that unless I'm doing commerce on the roadways. I handed in the definitions, has all the definitions there, what's in the Motor Vehicle Code and what Black's Law says. That operating motor vehicle is defined as doing commerce on the roadway.
I understand. So, sir, just so you know, obviously, we don't recognize that within our municipality laws.
It's common law.
Wrong answer.
I understand the common law and stuff, but our laws are obviously not in tune with your common law and the way it's practiced. So
We don't recognize common law.
those. Do you understand the reason he pulled you over? And
Absolutely not.
Why? Okay.
Absolutely
Have
not.
you been told why you've been pulled over this afternoon?
He told me his perception, but I don't understand it at all.
Okay. And so
Do you understand? It's important for you to say, for you to say yes. Do you understand? Do you stand under our authority? Nope, I don't stand under your authority. I stand above your authority on a higher authority. So there's no understanding. No, there's none of that.
So we can help you understand the perception of why you're pulled over.
So we can help you understand.
What did he specifically tell you?
We want to help you understand. Think about what the cop's saying. We want to help you understand. We want to manipulate your mind into standing under our authority. We want you to understand that you are below us and we are above you. As we proclaim to be your public servants, we're going to act like your public masters. It's all wordplay, man. It's all magical fairy tale wordplay.
He believes, like a lot of officers believe, that the common law, like you just said, does not apply to them. However, this is not my common law. Common law is the law of the land. It's backed by the Supreme Court and the Constitution.
What is the officer's common law perspective on why the stop was initiated for you?
Oh, I would have no idea, because common law is defined as loss, injury, or harm needing to take place in order to move forward. I did not do any of those things.
Okay.
So his corporate law or legal understanding would be that I am an employee of a corporation. I would assume this is understanding somewhere, because again, motor vehicle means a vehicle doing commerce on the roadway. Driver means someone employed by someone to do commerce on the roadway. The code even describes tractor trailer, taxi driver, or bus driver. That's why we use the term driver. Anybody who's behind this is not a driver. A driver is defined as someone employed to do commerce on the roadway. I am not that. I am a man taking my property from point A to point B.
So what is the reason for the stop today? No plates, okay? That's a common thing that we obviously enforce and do with our laws and what we believe in and what we have to do. So the probable cause exists for him, not with you, in your understanding, for him to go ahead and initiate a traffic stop based on the plates.
What is his reason to believe that I'm driving this vehicle?
Well, you're operating the vehicle and driving it, and you were observed driving it. Whether
I
you
wasn't
believe-
driving. Driving is defined as commerce.
Driving
Can you
is
read the
you-
paper?
I understand your version of it.
No,
but
that's
our
the
version
definition
is
by
different.
Black's Law Dictionary.
See, that's what they want to do. They want to say that it's your version, it's your interpretation, it's your perception. No, that's actually what the words say. And that's what those words mean. Black's Law says driver means that you're employed for profit, for hire. If you're just moving your property from point A to point B using the public roadways to do it, the Supreme Court has declared already, and it's self-evident to all, according to the Declaration of Independence, that you have the right. It's not just a privilege, it is a right to travel freely without harassment and unmolested.
In the Motor Vehicle Code.
We don't follow that.
The Supreme Court does.
We don't follow that law.
We're not the feds. We don't operate under the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but you swore an oath to uphold the law of the land and the
Sure,
Constitution. The
absolutely.
Supreme Court is the highest law of the land.
But ours is under a municipality and ours is under the Jefferson County division. So you'd have to go to the Jefferson County for anything. Has he issued you any ticket or done anything?
No, sir.
Well, exactly. So we're in a common state here of just talking about the
Sure.
situation, and that's it. And you're being cordial, and you're.
And that's a
expressing
good
your
thing,
views.
because we
No,
need to have these
Well,
discussions.
that's it. And so that's what he's discussing with
Sure.
you. So understanding your beliefs and what you think aren't necessarily ours, because what we have to practice a certain thing. There's an understanding there. I hope you know that.
Guys, stay
Obviously,
tuned. This
before we
guy's
go,
just warming
we don't
up.
have the same understanding of what your understanding is of the law. Do you understand that? As long as we have a common agreement on that, I'm good. You're going to have your definition of it is. We're going to have what our obligations are.
But what
Whether-
is yours based on?
So ours is based on Colorado revised statutes and traffic codes that we are to enforce. That's what ours is
The
based
term
on.
trafficking means to take goods from
And
one
I-
place to
I
another.
understand that-
That's why
I
drug
under-
trafficking is defined as
I
taking
understand
drugs
that.
from one
Yeah,
place to the
I
other. I'm not
understand.
trafficking anything.
But by
I'm
our-
traveling, sir.
Listen, by our standards and our Colorado revised statute, you are an operator of a vehicle, operating a motor vehicle. This is a motor vehicle. And I could sit and I could have coffee with you, and I'd love going into this stuff. But I'm just telling you the way it is and how it works for us. And that's what he's trying to tell you is the reason why you were pulled over and all that stuff. And you said, I'm just a man, I'm just a man. I appreciate that and stuff like that. If he's asking you for identification, you don't want to give it, I understand why you're not wanting to give it and why you believe that you don't have to give it and stuff. If he were to ask you, what would your name be given by the corporation or the land, as far as government, as what we see as government, would you have a legal name under that? What would be your false name that you be giving? which would be the government name that we go to, it would be given to you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And if you're comfortable in providing that,
This
with
cop
him,
has some understanding.
that's what he wants.
Yeah,
You
I'd rather
understand
not.
what I'm
I'd rather not provide anything because again, once I provide any kind of information, I'm contracting with him.
Understand.
And I would rather not contract with him. Again, this first of all, again, we can go back to you guys' rules. Those red and blue lights are not to be pulling people over. Those are emergency lights. They're to be used for people to move over so they can move past. Just by me pulling over, I have submitted to something that I know is incorrect because the purpose of those lights are emergency lights. They're not for pulling people over.
So let me
I
ask
did so because I understand that in
That's what I
today's
wanna
day
ask
and
you.
age,
Why did you
that
wanna
if I
pull
do
over?
not do that and I go like this and say,
Sure.
go ahead, which is what it actually tells you should do when a policeman pulls up behind you and the regulation says, oh, roll down your window, pull over, and wave him on. I did not do that because then he'll say, oh, you were trying to. I understand the psychology of how most officers think. I understand
You complied and you pulled over and stuff, and that's a start.
because I want this interaction.
Well, that's
I
great.
want the
And I
interaction one way or the
appreciate
other. We have to get it on record.
Have you interacted like this in a court of law already?
I would rather not get into that.
Understood, but I'm just, and if you have,
I have a lot of experience in a courtroom and with the material.
perfect. And so with that being said and stuff, I just want you, so we're not wasting time and being naive on
Sure.
understanding all this stuff. You're an educated man. You understand what your beliefs are. We have our certain rules that we have.
They're
to
not my.
adhere
Can
to
we
and
just
stuff.
say I don't mean to be. I'm not being a dick. They're not my beliefs. Sir.
Exactly.
It's a knowing that I've come to based on eternal truth. This truth is not going to change
It's a
whether
belief if
you
hold it true to
understand.
your heart.
It's a conviction.
practice.
It's a conviction. The same.
That's what I love about it, man. It is eternal, immutable truth. And you walk in that and you stand on it and you have a knowing of it. It ain't a belief. It's not a belief. Everybody knows. Every man knows if you just sit down and think about it. I mean, away from the minutia, the smokescreen, the dog and pony show, the distract, deceive, divide, and polarizing campaigns. If you just sit down and think about it, you have to know that you don't have more rights than other people. If you do, how did you get them? Where did they come from? Are you something more than human? Are you a god? If you just sit down and you just think about it for a second, you don't have the right to require that another man beg you for permission and then pay you money and then you release his freedom to him because you receive said money. Nobody's got a right to do that. I don't care how buried we've been mentally in our 15,000 hour indoctrination program called the public fool system. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a lie the truth or the truth a lie if it's just been ingrained in your brain. The truth is the truth regardless of what you believe. And lies are still lies even if everybody believes them. It doesn't matter. That's why I really appreciate this guy. He, in the face of men with guns, state agents, state indoctrinated agents with firearms are surrounding his car, and he is keeping his cool, he's keeping a level head, he's staying as cordial as he can possibly be, while he's not giving an inch and actually advancing into enemy territory so that freedom can be advanced. Love it. Love it.
Same thing the court will have to use to
Absolutely.
either convict me or not because it rests in my heart and it cannot be changed by
Yeah, I understand. It's not that he's not making mistakes, and we all will make those mistakes. When somebody says you understand, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction to say, "Yeah, I understand," because we've been so ingrained and immersed. Like he just he slipped up by saying I was operating. He's like, no, okay, it's the we got to get the terms right. We got to constantly be renewing our minds with what the truth is, what the definitions are, what do words mean, how we get along in society. You do not get along in society, and you cannot create a morally based society when you're threatening and coercing people to do something and bend to your will against their will, or defrauding them, or whatever. However you're trying to manipulate somebody by threatening them, forcing them, coercing them, lying to them.
any other man's belief. A belief and a conviction are two very different things.
I understand.
You know?
I understand. And you hold it true to yourself.
Absolutely. I live by certain morals, logic, and ethics that I hold myself to
So you have a
at all
belief-
times.
You have a belief in the Constitution.
Not a belief. I have a knowing that the Constitution is codified based on universal law, that no man has the right to rule over any other man. That will always be a truth since the day we came here to the day we die, because it is illegitimate and is based on coercion, duress, and force.
And lies.
Knowing.
I have a knowing. It is unchanging. I am the same yesterday as I am today as I will be tomorrow.
Okay, and I hope you can respect that, obviously. we have a knowing and understanding.
You have a
what our
belief
job-
system that you
Absolutely.
are adhering to, and it is not in line with truth, sir.
He's totally disagreeing with them, but he's doing it in a nice, firm way. I love this. The officer's trying to convince this guy, well, you have a knowing, well, we have a knowing too. He corrects him quickly and says, you don't have a knowing, you have a belief, and your belief is based on nothing but fiction. That's why Bastiat said, the state is that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else. It is an illegitimate, ill-advised scheme in creating a corrupt, non-reputation based society. That's what the state is. But this guy is saying, he's like, look, I am a man of the earth. I'm going to walk in truth and justice, and I'm going to persevere, and I'm going to carry that torch, and there's nothing you can do to extinguish it, because I have a conviction based on knowledge, based on a knowing, not based on this religion called statism and belief.
It may not be in line with your truth. But
No,
it's
the
in line
truth
with
is
our
unchanging. You have your perspective, I have my perspective.
Well, that's
by us,
just it. That's a difference.
by us
That's a
conversing,
difference.
we come to one truth.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
that truth is unchanging.
We may not come to an agreement on the truth, but we will come to a truth.
The
I
universe
agree with
has one truth
I
that we
agree
all
with
must
you on
come
that.
to understand. If we don't, we will suffer consequences,
Well,
individually and
I
together.
appreciate
Damn.
the cooperation and
Sure.
understanding with
Damn.
you. It's more than pleasant to deal with on it, and I've dealt with many people that have the same understanding of things as you do and stuff like that. So let me talk to my officers and see what the plan is here and stuff, and I appreciate your
I
cooperation.
appreciate
with
you,
it. Thank
sir. You've been cordial with me. You had a good rapport with me.
Yes.
You haven't been forceful in any way.
I got no reason why. So thank you for your cooperation. Give me 1 second, my man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
My gosh, this is the way it should be, man. He's wearing that cop down, and I'm not saying this in an overlord type of, hey, ha, he got him. I'm not saying that at all. It's like he's dealing with a human being on the human being level. He took the guy mentally out of his uniform, away from his authority, away from his badge. And he gave him the undiluted truth in a really firm, cordial, kind way. Wait till you see what happens, guys. We ain't done yet. We ain't done. And this guy, believe it or not, we're 3/4 of the way through this video, and this guy is just warming up. Here, while we're waiting for those cops to come back, I'm going to give you the link to this
Would
channel.
you refer to me as Mr. Valdez or just a man? So I know from my education.
Mr. Valdez.
I don't expect you to say Sergeant Valdez or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
like
even
that.
a judge, right? Like any man, once you take it out of a man has duties and responsibilities, right? So one of those duties and responsibilities would be acting as someone.
Sure.
Right? So a judge is acting as a judge, but he is a man first.
If you're employed in whatever you do, what's your trade and what do you do that's your specialty as far as employment? Would you be referred to your title of employment? So like if you were a DJ or something at a club?
Absolutely not.
So how do you
Absolutely
how
not,
would
because
you
that
do
is an ability to respond. That is a responsibility that I take on in order to generate currency.
Do you think about? Do you hear what he said? That's a responsibility that I take on, and the ability to respond, the ability to respond appropriately and responsibly. Have you ever thought about that word? Me and Trish were talking about this today as we were watching this video right here. There's words that we use that we kind of think, we know how they fit in the context of a sentence. We know how to use them, usage and all that stuff. But do we really understand, comprehend? Do we really comprehend what they mean? Do we really get the full meaning? Responsibility, the ability to respond appropriately, the ability to respond morally, the ability to respond rationally, the ability to respond reasonably. Interesting stuff, man.
In this realm, but who I am and what I am is even beyond a man, because the man is I'm only taking temporary possession of my physical body.
But how do you end up doing it? Like how would you classify your job title and stuff like that?
This guy's distracting me. I'm sorry.
If you had a job title, like how would you classify yourself in a job title? To work, if you do you work?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so you do work and you get U.S. currency and all that stuff like that, and you do have to pay taxes. And
I don't get into all that. I'm not going to get into all that.
Regardless of that, if you have a title, do you have to put a title? If you go to apply for a job, do you have to adhere to that title?
I mean, that title, while I'm operating under that, what would be the word here?
Operating in that capacity.
When I'm operating,
company, though.
Yeah, when I'm on their clock and I'm taking money from them back to commerce, right? If I'm employed on the roadways, then I'm classified as a driver. So you would refer to me as a driver. But if I'm not taking money to do a service, then I have no classification or title. Which
Well, that's why I asked you about it. Like
if you're operating in your own capacity as opposed to the capacity of an employer employer-employee relationship, then you're going to take on the title that your employer has given you while you're engaging in commerce. But if you're acting in your own capacity, you're operating as a human being, a free moral agent, free from the strings and licensing and registration and permissibility requirements of other human beings who don't have the right to lord over you. Interesting concepts.
You're a DJ at a club and stuff, and
Yeah, this guy's great.
I'm DJ. I'm DJ jerk off.
Yeah,
you know,
DJ whoever.
on
DJ
Friday
man.
night when I'm taking money and I'm in the club, but I'm still a man first, right?
Okay.
Like I'm acting as a DJ, just like we're all acting, you know, in the world. Like Shakespeare said, you know, all the world is a stage. We're all players upon it.
I understand.
You know.
Okay, so you cover your VIN for the purposes of no identification and stuff like that, right?
Well, I
Is that
just
why
I just
why
know
you
the
cover
I
it?
just know the whole routine, and I know that there's always going to be some end road into trying to build a case. And this vehicle is not stolen. This vehicle's not reported stolen. There's no reason to believe I'm not the owner of it. So I don't believe that anybody has the right to.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, for us to not, the ignition's not punched. You cooperated. You pulled over. Those are uncharacteristics of somebody
course.
who's stolen a vehicle and stuff like that. But I mean, through, and I don't want to get into semantics for us, but through our beliefs of what we have and stuff as far as operating a vehicle on a roadway, it has to be licensed, registered, all the stuff that you already know and stuff, what our beliefs are and what we practice and what we adhere to. VIN has to be present, all that stuff that we have. and
There
everything
also
else
is
like
officer
that.
discretion on all these things.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
if I provide you with an understanding that, you know, leads you to a deeper understanding on your end of what I'm out here
Well,
doing, and I'm not causing any loss,
no, you're
injury,
not.
or harm, then
No, you've
you
been
know,
more than cooperative with me, and that's why they called me over here and stuff so I could talk to you about this, because I'm a...
I wish he let him finish that, because the context of his last couple statements right there, his last couple sentences is officers have discretion. So if after this stop you comprehend what I'm telling you and you're changed and you comprehend that you need to operate on a level of humanity, not as a law enforcement, state-funded law enforcement agent, then maybe the next guy that you encounter, you're going to impart humanity and not the state, not tyranny, onto the next person. I wish he had continued on with that thought. I think that's where he was going with it. Because if officers can operate under discretion, use their own discretion, whether to give that ticket or not give that ticket, and they become humanized. See, that's what this guy just did. This guy just humanized this badged, state-funded law enforcer. And now they're talking like human beings, trying to get a comprehension of what each other are trying to say. Amazing stuff, man.
so fascinated by all this.
and that's a good thing, man. It's great to see.
Well, I want to
police-
educate myself on it.
But that's the thing. You say it like it's common sense. I've dealt with a lot of officers, and they'll tell me, "Listen, I don't even care what the truth is," and they'll tell me, "You seem like a smart guy. Just do as you're told." I didn't even do that with my own parents. You know, I'm not going to do that with anybody in this realm. I do what the truth leads me to an understanding. Just like the mask thing, I would tell you, take that fucking mask off, man. You're going to make yourself sick with an upper respiratory infection. But these motherfuckers are going to get you sick to have you out here working a job. And we have to comply, because if not, we're going to lose our livelihood. This is where our country's at now. Giving out bad...
This is why this is so freaking important, guys. This opens up so many cans of worms and goes into every avenue of our lives. If we can get this down right here, we can change the world. This is the setting of Brush Fires of Freedom in the minds of men. This is why I don't want to come at a cop like, you know what, you're wrong. Your freaking laws are out to lunch. You don't know what you're doing. Come at it like this guy's doing. Do no harm, take no shit. He's being firm but fair. He's being cordial. He's not giving an inch. He's actually advancing toward enemy territory, trying to tear down the barriers that are constructed in this guy's mind. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about.
bad faith health advice.
It is.
You know?
Well, yeah, I would love to have coffee with you.
I'm
Anyway.
sure you would.
Listen, now the cop's going, I'd love to have coffee with you. I don't know if he's lying or not, but he seems like he's become human. He's not asking for license, insurance, and registration. He's not trying to give this guy a hard time or pull him out of the car. Or I don't know if he's got his hand on his gun or not, but he's not tasing this guy. I would love to have this guy on a live show so we can learn from him, be educated, educate each other, and then once we get educated, educate other people, and open up just channels of freedom and prosperity, man. Isn't that what we want?
Because I know where a lot of you guys stand.
So,
you know, a lot of this shit's bullshit.
Here's the thing, sir. So what I have told my officer, instructed my officer, is, you know, obviously you have your idea of what you're gonna do and what you're focused on and stuff. And I said, well, you know, if he's not gonna identify himself, and you know, we're not gonna issue him a summons or anything else like that, and he's been more than cordial with us stuff. I asked him to get the VIN at least off the vehicle so we could.
I love what Adrian just said in the chat room. Rewatch this video until it sticks. This is like a master class on defending liberty. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he got lucky, he got lucky. Guys, first 3 minutes, that cop wasn't budging. First 3 minutes of that, no, that's Colorado revised traffic statute, and you're giving us your license, registration, or insurance. There was implied threats of force, or you're going to jail. This wasn't this. I mean, this guy may make it seem like it's a cakewalk, and may make it seem like he got the right law enforcement officers. Guys, there's videos all over the internet on this kind of stuff. I just haven't seen anybody do it like this guy has done it. I know. I think we should resist the temptation to go, oh, he just got lucky. That would never work for me. It's like, this isn't about it working. This is about what's right. What are we willing to die for? Are we the type of give me liberty or give me death kind of people? Because if we're not, hey, just go ahead and just keep on licking the chains of your own oppression. What did Samuel Adams said? If you love wealth greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude rather than the animating contest of freedom, behold the contest. This guy is contending for the truth. He says, if you don't, whoever would love wealth rather than the animating contest of freedom, let him go from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or your arms. We want nothing to do with you. Crouch down and lick the hands that feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. Because you didn't fight for the truth. You didn't fight for what was right. You didn't stand against all that is wrong in this world. And you became the problem. Go from us. I don't want your counsel. I don't want you to protect me. I don't want your arms. Just crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. Lick your chains. Make love to your shackles. Whatever you want to do, just get away from me, and may posterity forget that you are our countryman, because you're worthless, man. That means it's liberty or death. It's liberty or death. There ain't no in between, because in between leads to death.
And that's all I asked him to do. But you have the VIN covered up, so that's why he was looking for the VIN. And that's all I was telling him to do. And he was just going to cut you out of here and get you out of here. And stuff.
Okay.
So that's what he wanted to do. And if you're good with it, that's what I'd like him to do, is just grab the VIN so we can get you out of here and get you on your way. And if you'd like my business card, I'll give you my business card. And more than happy to do that.
Now, am I obligated to do that?
No, I'm asking you.
Listen to this.
That's all I'm asking you.
You're personally asking me.
I'm personally saying, if you're good with it.
The tides change right here. I mean, the tides were changing, but it really changes right here. Listen to this right here. The cop is now asking him, hey, I'm just asking you as a man, not as a law enforcer. And the guy who's driving this vehicle, I guess his name's Paul. Paul's basically like, man, this is man to man. I'm going to believe the best about you, but if something happens and you use my VIN number, use any kind of information that I give you for something bad, I'm duking it out with you, legally, quote, in the courts or whatever.
If you could do the VIN and get my officer out of here, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, and what's the reason for that? Just to make sure it's not a stolen vehicle?
That's all I want to do. And I don't believe, like I told you, you're being more than cooperative. You pulled over, which is not common, and the fact that it's not punched or anything else like that. And I understand what your practice.
Now, typically, I just stick with, I don't comply with anything that I'm not obligated to. Because as a man, you're asking me to do you a favor to make sure this vehicle's not stolen, I will do so. However, as a man, if something comes to that after what you just told me, because you are going to cut me loose, you're not going to give me any summonses.
I'm not going to pull you out of a car. I'm not going to take you to Jefferson County Jail. I'm not going to do anything.
You're not going to give me any tickets or any summons?
No, we're not. We're just going to grab the VIN.
Okay.
If you're good with that.
That's fine.
Are you okay with my card?
Sure.
All right, I appreciate it.
And if you ever want to get together on personal time.
And the cop goes, if you're good with that, who is in the driver's seat? No pun intended, but who's in the driver's seat now? The free man is in the driver's seat. Hey, if you don't mind, if you're good with that, and I understand the cops have their tactics. So that's why this guy goes, you're not going to give me a ticket. You're not going to cite me for a violation. You're not going to do any of these things. Because he's well aware that cops play good cop and they act like they're on your side, and then they do something nefarious behind the scenes. And who knows, they could do that with this. But this guy's going, okay, if you're talking to me as a man to a man, then I'm going to do that for you so that you can verify that this vehicle's not stolen. But I want you to know that routinely, I don't do, that's not my practice. Interesting, interesting.
And have a conversation, I'm more than open and willing to do that. As a matter of fact, I look at it as a duty and a responsibility as an American to educate or to help, not even educate, I don't want to bring it to an ego thing, but to bring more understanding together to who and what we are doing here. You know, what are...
He's in the traveler seat. I like that, Jenny, Texas. D Diamond Dude says, driver seat? He's a driver? That's good, guys. See, none of us is greater than all of us, man. We're going to make mistakes. We just got to do the best we can. That was good. That was good.
Our shared role in being Americans is.
Is it the concept for the about? Is it all fall under anything like British law or anything else like that?
That's
the
part of
British law.
Again, this stuff gets very
complex,
circuitous, and there's a lot of there's a lot of little things that you have to, little rabbit trails you have to go down. But part of this whole thing, right, stems from the birth certificate, where when there was, and we're going to go through this again. They're calling it the Great Reset now. We're going to have an economic collapse the same way they did the first time, 1917 Spanish flu. They put everybody in masks. Majority of the deaths, the NIH.gov has concluded. Fauci wrote a paper on it. Majority of the 1917 100 million Spanish flu deaths came from wearing masks, from secondary bacterial infections, breathing in your own bacterial.
Listen to this guy.
Once already, 100 years ago. We had a Great Depression. They came in with a system, birth certificate, social security number, where the government promised everybody benefits and privileges in exchange for their rights, and all they had to do was be given a number and a secondary name.
What about the vaccine? Totally against it?
Absolutely.
So if you were to
Bill Gates said in 2015 there's going to be an outbreak under the Trump administration. We're going to use vaccines to sterilize and depopulate people. He said it in TED conference. These are not my conspiracy theories. These are these psychopaths right out of their own mouths.
What about, like...
Guys, is this not our brother from another mother, or what? This guy, man.
So with you, obviously you go shopping and stuff to get stuff and everything. And do they confront you when you don't wear your mask or anything? Do they confront you when you don't wear your mask?
Yeah, they do.
So,
but
is it all cool though? You go in and they don't say anything?
I converse with them the same way that I talk to you. I try to be loving, I try to be compassionate, I try to be faithful, and I try to deliver them a message that touches their spirit, so that they can open their mind and heart to the truth that we're all supposed to be experiencing here.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff. Okay, well, I appreciate you talking to me about it and stuff like that.
I appreciate you having a care in your heart, man. There's not many people nowadays who care for anything, let alone truth and what's right.
It's a crazy world right now.
Absolutely.
As you know.
Absolutely, and that's why we need to do our due diligence, and we need to be vigilant as far as serving truth. Because we can serve our belief systems, our egos, our careers, all this nonsense. If we don't serve the one truth, we're all going to lose it all soon, sir.
My gosh, man. If we don't serve the one truth, we're going to lose it all. If we don't frickin' get it together and stand together, we're sunk, officer. You got to get your mind out of that uniform. You got to sever ties with that ego. This ain't about me being greater than you or you being greater than me. It's about us being arm in arm together against our common foe. And we better do it right now. Love it, man. There's only a couple minutes left on this.
We're going to lose our economy, our currency, which is a fiat currency backed by no gold and silver. It's losing its value day by day. They're moving over to electronic currency. There's a reason for all this stuff. This is not conspiracy theory. This is big corporations, big business, certain big banking, central banking, cartels.
Bitcoin, VMO.
Bro, it's all connected. You see the internet censorship now. You see the left-right division in the politics. You got Black Lives Matter. You got supposed right-wing racists. It's all divide and conquer, man. They've been doing it since back to Rome. These are intergenerational banking families. Let me give you one more thing. Go look it up. Bridget d'Avignon. She was 12 years old. She went down in Guinness Book of World Records, the first historian to find out that all the presidents except for one are blood related back to one king. Okay? A king of France. All the presidents except for one. And this is all verified by mainstream media.
What is it,
Bridget d'Avignon. And then you can search up 12-year-old presidents related as keywords. And it will pop up on YouTube Might be kind of hard to find now, but it should still be up there. I gave it to someone last week. She proved, she went through all the genealogy and proved that all of our presidents except for Martin Van Buren are linked to one king.
It could be politically atheist. Politically atheist says, I feel like the cop is just listening to try to buddy up and get him on something the more you talk. I totally, on the one hand, I understand that. On the other hand, you know, the human side, the compassionate side tries to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, but it's always got to be guarded, especially when you're around a state agent. It really could be that way. Or, I mean, on the bright side of it, this guy, whether that cop is changing or not, this man right here is planting a seed. And if that seed doesn't germinate in the minds of the hearts of these law enforcement officers that are interacting with him, surely it will inside of us. I saw somebody say in the chat room, this pumps me up. Guys, I was so on cloud 9 all day. I couldn't wait for 6 o'clock to get here so that I could present this to you on the live stream. This is our brother, man. This is what it's all about. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the knowledge that we have in our minds sinks down into our heart and just... like it's like fragrance, man. It's like putting on cologne or perfume. As you go along, you just, you know, the smell of you goes everywhere. And what do you want to smell like? Do you want to smell good or do you want to smell bad? This guy has put an absolutely fantastic face on the freedom movement. You know what I mean? On humanity. This is puncturing. This is ripping a huge gaping hole in the matrix. It really is, man. Fantastic stuff.
So you explain to me
the link to this video right here. I've been dropping it in the chat room, guys. There's the link right here to this video. What I'd like to do is we'll watch the rest of this. There's only a little more than 2 minutes left on this. But what I'd like to do is if you can get under the video and leave him a comment, make sure you don't put any links because I put some links to some stuff and my comment disappeared. And I had to create another link. I did it under my High Impact Flicks. Let him know High Impact Flicks / Grease Monkey Video sent you because what I'd like to do is get this guy on a live stream. Maybe if you want to upvote my comment down here. I'll read my comment in a second. And maybe you guys can leave some comments and then I'll refresh the page and then I'll read some of your comments who are in the room live under his video. But let's listen to the rest of this 2 minutes.
How we're out here voting and we have a right to vote and we're choosing. How could they all be related to one king?
Do you believe in email and stuff, or no? You don't do it?
I mean, yeah, why not?
Do you believe in email?
Would you be willing to email me stuff? Sure.
Listen.
Can I put my email on there?
Absolutely.
From the card they gave you?
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man.
Now that is something he's talking to the sergeant, guys. He is talking to the supervisor, not the underling cop. He's talking to the supervisor, and the supervisor's going, "Hey, do you believe in email? That's hilarious. Can you send me some stuff?" Now, could this be like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to judge anybody's motives. I'd rather choose to think the best while I'm guarded, going, okay, what's going on here? But I've never seen a cop go, "Hey, here's my email address. Do you mind sending me some stuff? This is really interesting stuff." What if he changes this cop's mind and then this cop changes other minds of the cops on the force? I mean, Brian, you're just thinking in a vacuum. It's all fairy tale. It's all fantasy. Guys, we're going to die. We're dead. We're doomed if we don't do something. And I can't think of anything better to do than what this Paul guy's doing.
I don't think I have my email.
And see, this is what we're out here doing, and I'm not.
It's right there, actually. Never mind.
This is a good officer, and I want to put this officer on camera. This is
Look at this.
Ricky Valdez. They just pulled me over. No license, no plates, no nothing. But that's fine because you don't need that to travel from point A to point B. And this man was willing to listen to me and understand what I was saying, and he could tell that I'm not up to no good out here, you know. And this is what the human experience is supposed to be about.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
You have a good day, my friend. You take care of yourself.
I appreciate you, Mr. Valdez.
Thank you. Be safe, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Valdez.
That's how you do it, folks. That's how you do it right there. And I hope all you motherfuckers. Look, I can't get this window up now. I'm all nervous and shit. But I hope.
He said, "I'm all nervous." This guy suppressed his fear and just went for it, for the cause of freedom, not just for him, but for that officer, for all of us, for everybody in the entire world. When injustice is done to one man anywhere, injustice is done to all men everywhere. When a law is made that suppresses and curtails freedom, it's not just our right, it's our obligation to come against that law with everything we got.
All you motherfuckers are watching. I hope you're all watching, okay? All you people who told me that Go ahead and try that shit with the police and see what they do. Well, I just tried it. No license, no registration, no insurance, no nothing. Okay? They told me many times that the first guy, we're going to arrest you, we're going to do whatever. No, whatever. Stick to it. Stick to your fucking truth. Supervisor came, he said, we're not doing anything. We're not going to summon you, we're not going to do anything. You seem to know what you're talking about, okay? Then he asked me as a man, can I see your VIN? Because I have it covered up. As a favor, can I see it? I normally don't do that. I said, you know what? You can read my VIN to make sure that my car is not stolen. Okay, but I didn't even need to do that. He said, you're not even obligated to do that. But as a man, he gave me his word, and I showed it to him. So here we are. The cops are going to let me go right here on Colfax in Colorado. No license, no registration, no insurance, no nothing, because I don't need any of that to travel from point A to point B. The Supreme Court has ruled on it. So now I'm going to post this video. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I'm feeling good about myself right now.
He should. That is based. If you want to see based, that's base, man. I want to see what documentation they actually showed he actually showed the cop. I want to see what documentation that was. I imagine that it's probably documentation like this. This is Black's Law Dictionary defining what a driver is, and a driver is a driver for hire who's employed to drive. He's not just a traveler. And probably something like this where it has just a bunch of sightings of case law. There can be no question, look at this. There can be no question of the right of automobile owners to occupy and use the public streets of cities or highways in the rural districts. Citizens, that's a misnomer, have a right to drive upon the public streets. Driving, I mean, they say drive, but they're basically misusing, the true definition from Black's Law, because all law is supposed to follow the definitions as set forth in the Black Law Dictionary. But this is all just kind of a learning thing for everybody. It is well-established law that the highways of the state are public property and their primary preferred use is for private purposes. Every citizen has an unalienable right to make use of public highways. If you have an unalienable right, then you don't need a license. Every citizen has full freedom to travel from place to place in the enjoyment of life and liberty. Traffic infractions are not a crime. Just tons. Other rights to use in automobile cases. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as this video gets done rendering, when I upload it on Grease Monkey Videos tomorrow, I'll have all these links below, including 18 USC 241, which is conspiracy against rights, and 18 USC 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law. We all really should know these, man. Speak with authority. Speak with, conviction, like this guy was saying. Guys, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoy this content, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. That way we can stay in touch in case they decide to completely eradicate this channel, which I'm very close right now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to me on my private members-only upload site, highimpacttv.com, and on Odyssey and BitChute. All my links are in the description below. If you want to support this channel further, the Patreon, PayPal, Bitcoin, and Subscribe Star links are also in the description. Or grab a hard-hitting, conversation-starting shirt. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored, shadow banned, 100% demonetized video.